All right, everybody. Our next guest is a hilarious comedian actor whose special, The Byrne Identity, is available right now for free on Amazon. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Byrne. Steve, how you doing, man?
What's going on? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Don.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. Been a fan of yours for a while now. You've been on the scene for a long time. And how you living these days, man?
Well, I'm sure we're both in the same boat here. So it's interesting. I'll tell you what's nice for me is that I've constantly been on the road. It's like 45 weeks a year. So to go from 0 to 60 and then 60 to 0, it's been kind of wild, but I got an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old at home and my wife. So I got to say, I know most people I got to get back on stage. I can't wait. I'm like, I fucking love this. It's like, I've been kind of like really enjoying just being home. I know that comedy will come back and we'll get to do it at some point, but I'm just trying to enjoy every moment I have at home.
Definitely, man. And the kids are at a great age and It's good to have that quality time with them right now.
Yeah. They shaved my head. So it was like one day my hair was kind of like your length. And then It was like, I got to think of something to do. I'm like, you guys can, I was cutting my son's hair. He's like, can I cut your hair? I'm like, fuck it. All right. So they cut my hair. I figured, I got a few more weeks till I get on stage. So it'll be fine.
There you go. It grows back. And that's a great quarantine haircut right there, man.
Exactly. But I'll tell you, it is kind of like The Hurt Locker, that movie, The Hurt Locker, where Jeremy Renner, he's in war and he's writing his wife. He's calling his kid. He can't wait to get back home. He goes back home. He spends like a week with his kids. It's like, fuck this shit. I got to go back to war. So that's kind of what happens at some point. Yeah.
But you've been busy not only with the family, but I've seen that you've been doing these guitar lessons.
It's great. It's Fender, the guitar company, has given out 3 months of free classes. So I've been doing that at night and but just trying to keep busy, just trying to write a ton of stuff. And I banged out a TV pilot. I banged out a feature script. So it's all coming along. I'm going to outline another feature. So just trying to stay productive and of course, watch all the movies that I've been meaning to catch up on. How about you? What have you been up to?
I wish I've been as productive as you've been. I wish I've, have written TV pilots and stuff like that. But basically, I've just been doing this, and I work in sports. So I'm still kind of doing the day job, even though the sports is on hiatus. I'm still doing my thing with them. But yeah, I mean, I get a kick out of watching like a lot of your videos and things you've been doing as far as like the guitar lessons or when you're washing the car.
Pure boredom, yeah.
Yeah, just
like, let's film this. Let's do something for the funnies. But it's interesting, like with the social media, it's like you have to do it, right? And I kind of wish I was a comedian in the 80s where you could literally do an hour special that was on HBO and you could tour for that for 8 to 10 years. But nowadays, it's like with podcasts, it's like these fuckers with these successful podcasts, like you got to keep up with that. And they're churning out content every day. So it's really difficult to understand and figure out your voice or identity, even in that spectrum.
Like the social media thing, like you said, the podcasting has all of a sudden taken off even before the COVID thing. Seems like every other comic has his own podcast. But what's your take now in this era of the last few months? Everyone really taken to Facebook Live for one reason or another. Are you for or against it? Or do you have any feelings towards that? Or
it's too much and it's too bad because it's like those Netflix hour specials. They keep churning them out. It's like let's focus on quality over quantity. We don't need one a week. How about one a month that's really great as opposed to 4 that are okay, I guess they're good. But like even like the Tonight Show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Late Show, it's like, do you like the Late Show with Stephen Colbert? It's like, yes, I do. I love that show. Well, you want to see a worse version of it from his living room on YouTube? It's like, fuck no, this is bad, guys. It's bad. They should just stop doing it. Wait.
Yeah, New York. Why can't you be more like your brother, West Virginia? He doesn't have any coronavirus. And I hear your sister, Rhode Island, is dating a doctor. You are such a disappointment.
I do agree with you. I think it was nice kind of in the beginning of this when you started seeing all of everyone doing stuff from home, but then after a while, like you said, the production value does start to weigh in.
Hey everybody! Hi! Welcome to my bathroom.
I do miss the days when like it was only like HBO or Showtime, and it was one every couple of months or something like that. And you said, you anticipated, like whether it was Chris Rock or Dice back in the day or any of those types, they were a big deal.
Yeah.
And now,
those days are gone, unfortunately, because as you know, even, you know, in your field, everything's so fractured now. And the sad thing is that even during this quarantine, everybody's watching the Jordan doc, and it's nice to finally have something communal again. It's like we can all agree, no matter whether you're Republican or Democrat, we should open, we shouldn't open. It's like, that's the greatest. It's the greatest of all time. So let's just kiss the ring and enjoy this collectively as a country.
What time is it? My mentality was to go out and win at any cost.
Show of the 90s, the team of the 90s. How you doing?
Because back in the day, like you and I, we would watch The Cosby Show Thursday at 8 o'clock, and everybody watched The Cosby Show. Everybody. But nowadays, it's like I'm hearing about shows. I've met people like, oh, I'm on a show called The Glove on Netflix. Like, what the fuck is that? Are you making these things up? Like, I've never heard of half of these shows.
I know. And it's a kind of a double-edged sword, because in one sense, it's good that there's a lot of opportunity and work out there for these type of shows. So if you are a person out there creating content, that's a good thing. But it is a bad thing because it's oversaturated. And like you said, you don't have the same audience like you would like for a Cosby Show back in the day as you would now for the Glove.
Exactly. Yeah. Even the numbers that they could tout are much lower. And even like the numbers for the Jordan doc, I think it was like 26 million or something like that. Or I don't know, over the course of, it's like, I'm sure if this was 20 years ago, it would have been a lot higher, you know, but it is what it is these days. And it's good to have your niche. Everybody's got their niche, right?
Also, though, but being entertained by you, Steve Byrne, on Facebook and everything, I have also discovered how good you are on the rollerblades, man. You're like a rollerblading master out there.
Yeah, I've been playing ice hockey since I was 6. So you can see right here, I got a picture of myself. You know, it's always weird how to figure this out. Me and Mario Lemieux right there.
Oh, nice.
I got to do a like fantasy camp with him and Bill Burr, Ty Domi, Paul Coffey, Mark Recchi, just all these great all-stars, Alex Kovalev. We all got to play, and Bill and I had to do some stand-up comedy for all the players. So that was the trade-off. Do a little ha-ha, and you get to play hockey for 3 days in Pittsburgh with, you know, my heroes. So that was pretty wild. But yeah, I've kept up with ice hockey and rollerblades. But I posted something the other day where it's like, you know, you can't, when you're rollerblading, you have to have a hockey stick in your hand. Because if you're just rollerblading, you look like a Fruit Loop. And I'll never forget, when I was living in New York City, I would go play roller hockey in Central Park with Rick Moranis from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the Ghostbusters, and him and his son and a bunch of guys. We'd all get together and play, and it was so fun. And one time my stick broke, so I had to rollerblade home, and I lived in Hell's Kitchen, and Bobby Kelly and Jim Norton lived in my same neighborhood. And as fate would have it, I'm skating and I see them walk out of a Starbucks and they look at each other and look at me and they start dying laughing because I'm rollerblading. And so I'm skating up to them. Nobody says a word. And I skate right in between them and I smack both their coffees out of their hands. And I keep going. And I just hear Bobby dying laughing. It was one of my great moments as a seller comic, you know.
That is pretty awesome, man.
Stay in it and stay focused. So act like my fist is in there and you got to keep it tight. You don't want my fist to go through there, do you? You want to keep it tight, keep it secure. Ready? Switch to the other side. Hand behind the head.
You pretty much started in New York City?
New York is where I got my start. I started in 1997. I started in New York City, was just making the rounds. For my first 7 years I was there, I performed every club, every night. I never took a night off other than when I was on the road. And I would do 5, 6, 7 shows a night was the norm. I just loved it. It was like a girl I was infatuated with. And those New York years were my most productive in terms of like just feeling like fully invested in it, to the point where I couldn't wait to get up on stage at night. And I was so appreciative to be identified as like a working stand-up comic. And it wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles that I felt more confident to take my foot off the gas pedal. It's like, I don't need to get up 6 times a night. I'm comfortable enough now where I can work on the bit one time at the Comedy Store and go back home and know what I did wrong. And learn from it.
There's no way to make this business. There'll be a guy who's been doing it way longer than you finally get something. Or there'll be a guy who's been doing it for a couple weeks, and you're thinking he's back here. Next thing you're sitting at home, you see him, he got a part on like a sitcom. It's just like no.
You can't ever look at that. You just got to do your thing.
One cool thing about your New York years was 13 or Bust. I love that documentary. I saw it years ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great. And
starting now, so I'm gonna go. I don't know if we have time yet. I'm gonna go here, and boom.
You were in New York City, and you had a documentary called 13 or Bust, where basically you played 13 shows in one night and broke the record. And it's really cool. I think all fans of stand-up comedy should watch this because it's really cool. And it is kind of also now, all these years later, it's kind of like a time capsule of the times.
Yeah,
and
to
some
see
of the clubs.
Bill Burr had hair. Bobby Kelly was skinny. I think Dove and I kind of look the same, although we're a little older. But yeah, you see all the comics in passing, you see all the clubs, and it's just really encapsulates what a typical night was for me in New York City. There were nights where doing 9 or 10 shows wasn't abnormal, but to do 13 was definitely a bit much. It took a lot of planning, and I honestly thought I was going to do 12 and tap out there, but we did it. We did 13. It was the one time, every time we walked out of a club, a cab happened to be there, and I was able to make all the spots within 15 minutes. So that was all right. But yeah, it was. I always remembered when I was doing it, it was just before I moved to Los Angeles. I was like, this will embody what you did for all these years. It is a time capsule for myself. I remember saying that to myself. So at some point, I'll probably watch it with my kids and apologize for the material.
Steve Byrne, who was the man who's known for his work ethic, he did 13, which is insane. I don't even know how you do 13.
I heard Aaron is trying to break the record.
And has anybody tried to beat the record? Has anybody?
Oh, yeah. Aaron Berg, a great comic in New York City. He's a regular at the Stand.
I think I can maybe do 25 in a night.
25 in a night? What's wrong with you?
He broke it. Not only broke it, but he eviscerated it. He did 25 sets.
Holy.
In one night. I'm like shocked and blown away that you could, virtually double it. But that is called 25 sets, I think is what it's called. And it's available on Amazon Prime. It's like on iTunes and all that stuff. So you could rent it, and you'd not only be entertained, but be supporting like one of the great comics in New York City. He's such a underrated comic. I love him.
Guys, you've been great. Thank you for letting me play with you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great night. You're awesome, by the way.
That's why, it's always good when comedians support each other and all that stuff. But do you want to go back and reclaim the crown? Is that an itch?
No. Even if I had the opportunity to go back and do 14 sets in one night, I'd be like, yeah, I'm cool. I did it when I was a young kid. That's I'm 45 now. To even think, like, I've gotten to the point now where I remember I was Virginia Beach was the last set I did before the quarantine kicked in. And I was talking to my brother who was on the road with me, and I said, man, I don't even feel like doing the second show on a Friday night. And I've never felt that way. It's not that I didn't want to do it. I just felt kind of tired because I gave it my all that first show. And it was the first time where maybe getting a little older kind of kicked in for me, where 45, I'm like, man, it's a lot of stamina to just exert in an hour's time. And I never phone it in. I pride myself on always trying to do the best I can.
What's another stereotype? Black guys are packing heat, right? You know who I always felt bad for? Black guy, not packing heat. See, that's why that Asian stereotype is not bad at all. Asian guys got small junk. Who cares? Run with it. Lowered expectations.
But now you're in LA, and I just want to ask you, is there the difference between the New York comedy scene, the LA comedy scene, and, because I even think the kind of the tone of the comedy is different between the two cities.
I think this is the biggest difference that you'll see in New York as opposed to Los Angeles. And I get this quite a bit, but I don't get tired of answering it. I think the difference is that when you're in New York and you're at the Cellar, you're at the Stand, you're at Gotham, you're Comic Strip Live, those are people that are predominantly, I think for the most part, trying to aspire to be a stand-up comic. That's it. When you're in Los Angeles, I think predominantly most of the folks out in Los Angeles that are performing in the comedy clubs are comics that are working on something else, or comics that are aspiring to be in television or film or some other aspect. Whereas in New York, I think they're literally trying to be a stand-up comic, and that's kind of it. And a lot of them tap out there and they're happy with that. And then the aspirations for film or television come after the ascension of solidifying yourself as a grounded past regular at all the clubs. I think that's when the other stuff comes in. But I think LA, the aspirations are just much higher. That being said, New York will always shit on Los Angeles. People in New York are like, oh, fuck LA. LA's this, it's that, it's fake, it's this, that. When you live in LA, LA doesn't shit on anybody because LA's like, well, who are we going to shit on? Why are we going to shit on? We got sunshine. We got the beaches. There's a fucking tent everywhere. It's like LA doesn't sweat anybody, but New York's constantly sweating LA.
Yeah, I can see that. I do think it has something to do, maybe even with the weather. You know what I mean? Like in a lot of these cities, like Pittsburgh and New York and Buffalo, wherever, it's these cold kind of working class cities, and they do build a certain resentment towards.
Sure. I mean, in New York City, you're self-imposed in this prison of a studio apartment when you're starting off. And I could understand why you're shitting on people in LA. Because before I did this, you can hear my kids swimming. I was just swimming 10 seconds ago. Yesterday, we went down to Venice Beach and just kind of walked around and had the beach to ourselves because everything's quarantined off. And it's like, yeah, it's fucking great out here. It's pretty sweet. Nothing to complain about. I don't miss shoveling my driveway.
Yeah, I know, right? Before I let you go, you do a great Donald Trump, and you're not known to be an impressionist, but you do this great Donald Trump impression.
Yeah, actually, Caliendo and I were talking 2 weeks ago or whatever, and going back and forth with it. It was pretty funny to see one of the best, and I literally have one. I used to do a great Mark Wahlberg. I used to do a really great Mark Wahlberg, and Elon Gold, a great comic impressionist out of New York, loved it. And then Andy Samberg did it on SNL that year. I was like, fuck, my one shot, you know. But I always did a great Mark Wahlberg because it always seemed like he was always out of breath, you know, and he just, like, he would go to the grocery store. He's just like, guys, we just got to get the milk. You know, let's get the Captain Crunch. You got the spoon. I got the milk. He's got the spoon. Let's go. Let's just eat. And he was always kind of out of breath and always like some impending doom was happening. It was weird. It's been a while since I did it. But Trump, when he started running, the way he said China, that was my in. China, China. And we were eating dinner one night, and I kept going, China, China. And my wife was like, it's pretty good. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. And I kept toying with it and doing with it. That's how it all started.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions as Donnie, as you like to call him.
As long as the questions are not from the fake news media, yes, I can answer any questions. You're from Fox News, so of course I'll answer it.
All right, Donnie, the first one is, how important is it to trend on Twitter?
Well, I think people want their leader to trend because who doesn't want to trend? Black jeans trend. Keys are trendy. I'm trending. And a lot of people say it's amazing. I think it's amazing. I think it's great. Yeah.
Why don't you wear a mask out there in the world, Donnie?
Well, I'll tell you, Don, from one Don to another Don, when you look like this, when women gravitate towards success, there is a healthy glow that I exude. Some say it's orange. I say it's sun-like. It's godlike. Why would I want to cover up a Manhattan 10? You don't do that. If you're a Secaucus 6, you need to wear a mask. But when you're a Manhattan 10, let it glow, baby. And I'm here to glow. I'm always going to glow.
What's up with Kim Jong-un?
Well, I've done a lot of research on Kim Jong-un, and I've talked to leadership in North Korea, and they assured me he's not dead. Everybody here is saying Kim Jong-un is dead. He's not dead. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. I heard it from officials in North Korea. Kim Jong-un is not dead. He is actually in first place in a sleeping contest. Okay? He's not dead.
Sorry, I couldn't get through that one.
And the last one for you, Donnie, is how much is a gallon of milk?
That's a good question. I don't know what the price of a gallon of milk is, but I can tell you an F-16 Learjet personal, that runs you about $693,000. I'm out of touch with the common man. But look, my wife Melania might know the price of a gallon of milk, but then again, she doesn't go grocery shopping either. Melania did recently turn 50. She turned 50 years old, and I gave her some lovely parting gifts.
Awesome. Steve Byrne, I appreciate you taking the time. You're the best. Where can people see you, like, catch you? You have a website?
Everything I have is Steve Byrne Live. Go to YouTube right now and type in my documentary called Always Amazing. It's about my good friend, the amazing Jonathan, great comic magician. I teamed up with Bill Burr. We put it on YouTube for free. And this fall, I can't tell you the date yet. I know when it's going to happen because we haven't officially announced anything. But the feature film I wrote and directed about stand-up comedy, it's called The Opening Act. It will come out this fall. So be on the lookout for a trailer very soon for that.
That would be awesome. I'm looking forward to that very much. I did watch the Amazing Jonathan documentary. Great job on that.
Thank you, Don.
Steve Byrne, you rock. And people could also catch your show on Amazon, The Byrne Identity. You're awesome. Thank you so much, my friend.
You got it, pal.